There's a debate online, and I thought, you know what, this would be great to talk about. Who pissed more people off when they left, Darren or RIchrod?
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in for another show on Locked On West Virginia. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and I'm your host. We back again. That's right, Dylan. Listen, did you know we as a fan base as a whole, we've been pretty pissed off a couple times in history. I know it's crazy. A couple guys that we loved at one point in time. They was like our dads, man, at one point. For some of us. Was you raised in the house of RIchrod? Were you like Dylan? Were you raised in the house of Darren last year? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just asking questions here. Don't be mad at me. I'm just a messenger with this. I'm asking questions, man. That's all I'm doing. Of course, I'm not going to be biased towards. Don't accuse me of being biased towards Darian Devries, Dylan. I'm not biased towards him at all. I didn't put the shit emoji on his shoulder in the thumbnail. I'm not going to pick him for sure. All right, let's talk about this legitimately, though. Before we get there, this episode of Locked On West Virginia, I'm sure they're so proud of this content, is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. Look, guys, right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You can't win if you don't play. Head over to FanDuel.com to get started today. And thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. And for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day, as Squatch and I are going to try to walk you down the road of freedom. We want to free you from your bonds of hatred and hope unite you as a fan base against or for somebody. Also, top 60 players. Who you got? Who are your top 60 players? I've got top 60 and 10 honorable mention players because we got 61 days till kickoff. After midnight, it'll be 60. We record this on the 1st still at around 11 o'clock in the night at night. So if you're listening to this on podcast, it'll be a little later, or tomorrow on the 2nd. So it'll be 60 days to kickoff for a lot of you when you listen to this. Who is my top 60 players? We're going to get there too. Better get going now if we're going to get through all this. So, all right. Who made people matter? Who left worse between Rich Rodriguez and Darian Devries? Now, these are two totally different scenarios, right? This is somebody who had massive success in Rich Rodriguez to the point to where he was the hottest coach in college football, not even a close second at one point in time. Alabama wanted him. Michigan wanted him. Ohio State would have wanted him. Name it, they would have wanted him. Darian Devries did that for himself as well at West Virginia in just one season, mediocre as it was as far as results at the end of the day. We didn't make the tournament. I mean, I felt it was a good season, 19 wins and all, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, it's two guys that have made themselves a lot of money, right? It's hard to look back at this and you know, my first take was Rich Rodriguez for sure, right? Because who wants to have recency bias and pick the guy that just pissed everybody off a month ago? So, you know, I wanted to look at this objectively, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to make a case for Darian Devries here to be the guy. And you can call it recency bias if you want, but at the end of the day, the circumstances in which these people left, I think, were quite different. And I think at the end of this, you'll see why Rich Rodriguez did what he didn't want to do, as to where Darian Devries did what he did, and he did it it was ugly, and it's still ugly to this day. I keep adding to the list as every month goes by. So, Rich Rodriguez obviously was a West Virginia alum. That changes things too, right? Coach West Virginia from '01 to '07, 60 and 26, 4 Big East titles, '06 Sugar Bowl. Should have been the Fiesta Bowl head coach winner as well, but that turned out to be Bill Stewart. Um, obviously we were ranked number 2, 10-1, one win away from the BCS national championship game. When 13-9 happened to a 4-7 Pitt team in the backyard brawl on December 1st, 2007. We know that. 2 weeks later, he informed his players that he was leaving for Michigan effective midnight, December 18th, which means no Fiesta Bowl on January 2nd, 2008. He had just signed a new contract for a $4 million buyout clause in 2007 in August, and he claimed West Virginia broke promises. If you'll remember, $50,000 is all he wanted for his staff and fundraising issues with the 1100 Club. All absolutely true, by the way. His relationship with Passed Along was bad. It was fractured. He definitely negotiated directly with Mike Garrison, who resisted all his demands, right? And so it was a very sudden and abrupt departure. Obviously, it left West Virginia scrambling before a major bowl game. And obviously, he took Calvin McGee and other players with him, which weakened the program. The emotional fallout, losing the face of the state, along with the Pitt loss and not going to the national championship, absolutely crushed fans. And so Coach Rod's obviously his exit compounded the devastation here, which, at the end of the day, I think it was something that probably he felt like he had to do. Said the meeting with the players lasted about 10 minutes. It was described as emotional but brief, and Coach Rodriguez was still struggling with his choice, even in that meeting with the players. Then what Coach Rodriguez had to sue West Virginia to enforce the $4 million buyout. We know that. Michigan ended up paying a little over half. And then I think Rod started getting installments at some point, like 2010, somewhere in Arizona, I think he was getting them. I think this lawsuit was kind of like, it kind of highlights the breach of contract and West Virginia's overall bitterness, right? But fans felt betrayed. I think especially since Rich Rodriguez was a native son who had turned down Alabama in 2006, which let Nick Saban go become the greatest ever. And probably everybody, including me, thought he was going to make a lifelong commitment. 2013 poll I looked up had 47% of West Virginia voters still viewed him unfavorably. So as little as a decade ago, people still really hating Rich Rod. And like I said, the reasons for leaving were administrative resistance. They denied staff raises, facility improvements. He had the deteriorating relationship with Ed Passed Along, which he later he has called this since then a mistake. But obviously the impact on West Virginia was brutal at the end of the day. We had Bill Stewart come in, but we lost a ton of momentum. Bill Stewart, there's no way he had the drive, work ethic to continue what Rich Rod did. I don't think at that stage in his career. Love Bill Stewart. I just don't, trying to compare him up against what Rich Rod was doing with what he had to work with, it's just not even fair. Plus the unique offense left with Rich Rod. You bring in Jeff Mullen. It's the worst offensive hire in our history. Could have never been a worse guy to get to work with Pat White. So, you could have brought in anybody besides him. There's a multitude of guys. Anyway, so that marked a shift in our West Virginia's football trajectory. The program struggled to regain national prominence to this day, including Bill Stewart, Dana Holgerson, and Neil Brown, all having various layers of struggle, right? So I think the fans felt like, Rich Rod left him hanging in the dust here. He left, abandoned his alma mater for a bigger paycheck. He was only getting about 700,000 more at Michigan, by the way. 2.5 million a year at Michigan, 1.8 at West Virginia. So it's comparable money. If they would have just given him some of what he wanted, absolutely he would have probably stayed, in my opinion. So here's the thing. Rich Rodriguez didn't have all the things Darian Devries did have. He had the incredible salary. He had an incredible facility. He had an incredible relationship with the athletic director. He had an incredible relationship with the president. He had incredible push coming in this year. He had one of the greatest high school classes in all of college football and definitely in our history. When you look at the high school talent and just look at the one kid alone that went to Kentucky and everything that he turned into the fastest rising player in the entire country. We lose him obviously, and everybody else signed Power 4 as well. So, I think that class, coupled with what we had left, coupled with what we could have put into NIL, I absolutely think we could have put a Big 12 championship roster together this year. Nobody can tell me different. Now, does that mean it's worse than when Rich Rod left? It's just different. The reason I say it's different is because Rich Rod left under circumstances in which he honestly felt like he could no longer go on. He wasn't getting what he needed to get to continue to be able to do what he did. Does it make it right? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make it right. Time heals a lot of things. And yes, recency bias is going to make this hard for me to make a case for DeVries because I despise him so much now. I never disliked Rich Rodriguez, even after he left, not once. Rooted for him everywhere he went. So, because I understood the reasons, I think the people that are mad at Rich Rod don't understand the reasons or don't want to. They just think he's a traitor and that's it, and that's all it is. Darian Devries obviously coached here for only one season, but we had been led to believe it was going to be a long-term hire, right? And, which Ren Baker recently said Indiana was the one job he couldn't turn down. I get that. You'll never find me say, him leaving for another program is not what I'm mad about. It's not even on the top 10. I've said this multiple times. It's, obviously we exceeded expectations. And he left for Indiana after West Virginia was snubbed in the NCAA tournament, just 1 year to his tenure. Obviously, there's a buyout, which was good for West Virginia. But most people think there was some premeditation here, right? Obviously, we think he negotiated with Indiana during the battle for Atlantis in November. And I think he had one foot out the door while he was coaching West Virginia the rest of the year. After Mike Woodson suggested in February that he would be gone from Indiana. So, and then obviously Coach Darian Devries even admitted publicly that he had contact with Indiana during the season, saying they were respectful to let him focus on West Virginia. West Virginia went 6-9 their last 15 games. We lost to Colorado in the Big 12 tournament. And I think fans speculated, and I've speculated, that Devries' distraction altered and affected his performance, which players were possibly aware of his plans. I'm not sure. There was no farewell. He didn't spend 10 minutes like Rich Rod did to say goodbye to the West Virginia fan base or to the kids, right? I think just at the end of the day, that's just one of the worst parts about this is just the way he handled the exit, obviously. You look at Tucker DeVries and the entire situation surrounding that, and, I've showed on here multiple times now reasons for why I think that I knew before most people. Before we played Arizona, November 28, 2024, I said this, and for those of you listening on podcast, I'll read it. This is on November 28th, 2024. I was told yesterday that Tucker is seriously considering shutting it down. That his shoulder is still giving him massive issues, hence why he's not able to be offensively aggressive as usual. It's a situation where he's had back-to-back surgeries and never really had time to fully rehab it. It's always been a rush job to get to the next season. And this is obviously to a source of mine. Darren is letting Tucker make this decision. He can sacrifice and still play, but he's nowhere near 100% apparently. I went on to later find out that this was tendonitis and definitely able to be played with. So I believe that and I know that Ren Baker doesn't want this talked about very much, but I do believe that he could have played. Now I'm not saying he would have been 100%. I'm just saying that I think we could have been a better team with him on the floor. I'm not going to question what somebody does with their own body necessarily. I think there was a lie though. I don't think he was as injured as they pretended he was. That's all. So and then there was obviously he didn't ride back with the team after the loss in the Big 12 tournament when the morale was like it was. That one was another one where I'm like, what the hell? And I talked about we lost the recruits Kelvin Odie, Trent McClan, Jonathan Powell entered the portal, Monty Hansberry, KJ Tenner. They face uncertainty. And in our fourth coach in 4 years. So I think, Coach RIchrod's betrayal was emotional, right? He was one of us. DeVries was an outsider, but had looked like the promise of long tenure, and he broke trust. And then his lack of proper goodbye, failure to acknowledge the players. He didn't even say anything to Javon Small. If he has, it's news to me. I haven't really paid attention since the night of the draft, but obviously, at least 24 hours after the draft, he hadn't said anything publicly about Javon Small or congratulated him for his NBA draft as well. And so I think while it was less personal, it's because he lacked roots. It was more scorned, I think, at the end of the day for me. So now, obviously, we know RIchrod left a national contender and it had longer lasting impact than I think DeVries as well. As a matter of fact, we've rebounded to close to where we were, if not passing it already with what we did today. So Ross Hodge and company are absolutely killing it. There's nothing against them at all. Matter of fact, I'm okay with keeping Ross Hodge over Darian Devries. So I give the tie, or I got to give it to DeVries here. I really believe that. Maybe I'm too mad about it. You can say what you want, but this is my feelings on the subject. I would love to know how you feel down below right now. If you're watching the video, pause it or just click down there and say, I feel this way. And do you think it's DeVries? Do you think it's Rodriguez? Love to know from you. Let's go to break. Top 60 players, man. Let's count them down. Who's number one? That's going to be interesting. We'll be right back. And of course, this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. When we talk about FanDuel, we talk about summer sports being in full swing. And whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high stakes soccer action, FanDuel's the best way to keep the game more exciting. Look, you're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling for yourself with FanDuel? You can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can just bet $5. You get $150 in bonus bets. That's if you win that first $5 bet. Open up the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Do it now, do it yesterday, and have fun. All right, we are in segment 2. We're not cracking a dew. I do have some diet green tea here that I really like. This is probably what I'm going to get off the dew with when I decide to do it here. I think I've got one more case of dew, then I'm done. It's a tough decision. I might go diet dew or do zero or something, but I got to get off the hard stuff. It's pretty crazy. I never would have thought I'd be calling that the hard stuff in my life, but here I am. Okay. This is a fun one. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my top 60 West Virginia players, but I'm going to start with 10 honorable mention because I'm not going to lie. I thought when I first started the list today, I thought it was 70 days till kickoff for some reason. And then right before I did the show, I filled out 70. Okay. So I had to come up with a reason so I had to 10 honorable mention. But at the end of the day, we're going to do those guys first, and then I don't want to say. And by the way, this is not an exact order. I don't think I would have to comb over this list over and over and over again to do a power ranking like that. But it's close enough. I think there are going to be guys that should be higher that I just didn't see at the right point in time. Try to do this. It's much harder than you realize it is. And it's really subjective too. Like you guys, I'm going to have guys way up there that some people are going to be like, what? This guy's never done anything. So here are my 10 honorable mention guys. Khalil Wilkins, I have at number 70. I think, he's a quarterback. He could be valuable. I think he still has a chance to be a good player. I'm not giving up on him. I mean, it's not like he's even played a snap yet. So I want to see Khalil Wilkins do something. Caleb Gray, the safety nickel transfer. Clay Ash, one of our running backs. I think any running back in RIchrod's offense is got a chance to do something, right? Clay Ash. Jordan McCants, one of the wide receivers that transferred in from Jack State. Gerard Bowie, another transfer from Jack State, who I know is very talented, could make an impact, but he hasn't done anything yet, right? Jacob Barrick is another one he blocks very well, great blocking tight end. Greg Genross is another one. Like, these are guys I just have to see them do it on the field. So 70 Khalil Wilkins, 69 Caleb Gray, 68 Clay Ash, 67 Jordan McCants, 66 Gerard Bowie, 65 Jacob Barrick, 64 Greg Genross, 63 Wilderson Telemack, the defensive end freshman. I think he'll make an impact this year at some point, but certainly not, I don't know if it'll be right away, but maybe middle of the year. Same thing with Taylor Brown at 64, defensive end. I highlighted him on the show the other day as one of the guys I think is going to make an impact. 63, Devontae Golden Nelson, one of the corners. 62, Adam Tomczyk, one of the defensive ends. I think he'll be in a rotation. 61, Josh Isosa, one of the offensive linemen. He's a redshirt freshman from Oklahoma. And Max Anderson, obviously, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So number 60 then is okay. Sorry, I miscounted. I don't have numbers by this, which is ridiculous. I should have done that. But number 60 being Adam Tomczyk. So we'll start there. 59 is Josh Isosa. 57 is Max Anderson. 56 is Darrell Williams, the Saraland, Alabama product, who I think is due for a good season. We've heard a lot of good things about him in the offseason. So 56, Cannon Katzer, my guy. We guys know I love Cannon Katzer. We interviewed him on the show here. Certainly somebody I can get down with, and I think he has a chance to make an impact in the committee. I think he'll get some snaps late in games. Let's see where we at here. Number 55, Christian Hamilton, wide receiver, North Carolina transfer. I think he's a guy that can make a little impact this year. 54, Jeff Weimer is a guy I had high hopes for. It still do. It's just that we haven't heard anything from him since he signed. So, it's one of those where if you'd have asked me before when he signed, I would have said he'd be one of our top 2 or 3 receivers. Still might be, but it's a little bit weirder now because it's almost like he just got here last second, or maybe it was his grades or something. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but yeah. So Keenan Eck is at number 53, obviously from Citrus, junior college transfer linebacker. 60, let's see. I keep losing count, man. I really should have put numbers here. Let's see. 59, 58, 57, 56, 55, 54, 53. Okay, 52 is Marshawn Oxley, who is a linebacker and edge guy. We know. I think he's got a chance. Michael Clay, we still haven't confirmed what his first name is. I'm going to assume it's Michael. It's just spelled differently. Um, is somebody that I think, could crack the rotation this year. I just don't know. It's possible, right? I think I showed him last night. He's a very strong guy. I think he's got some stuff. I just like some of the other offensive linemen better, which you're going to see here in a minute. Which leads us to our 50th guy, number 50, John Lewis, the linebacker from Mississippi State. I think he's going to be one of our players this year that make an impact. All these guys are playing, right? All these guys are going to get snaps. And he's a guy that has got some athleticism to him. So, which is why I've got Ben Cutter at 49 right behind him. Then at 48, I've got Will Davis, the safety / nickel, who just had 1 billion yards in college, transferring in from Virginia Union. At 47, we've got Zay Jennings, the safety and nickel, who I think has a bright future, man, and, could possibly make a huge impact this year for sure. Just my opinion. Okay, so controversial one already, but at number 46, which some may think is too high, I've got Dior Hubbard. I love what he did in the spring. I'm not saying he can't still be all that. I just like other guys in the room more than him. This is my personal opinion. He may end up being the best player on the team. It's very possible. I'm not saying he can't be. I'm just saying till further notice, I'm picking some other guys. You guys probably know who. Let's see. Dior Hubbard, 45, Robbie Martin. Obviously he's going to make an impact this year, man. I think there's no doubt about it. He's going to make an impact. I think he'll probably play in some games. I think he'll maybe come in and be on a special teams guy for sure. So he's going to make some impacts. 44 is Ryan Ward. We love him coming in. 43 is Max Brown. Obviously, I think he'll be the third string quarterback and somebody that could, if nobody's playing up to snuff, could come in and steal big time playing time away from people. 41 is Justin Smith Brown, who ran a 4.40. I think he's a kid that I'm not sure what we're going to get out of him yet, but I love the South Carolina State transfer a lot. And 40, Malik Abgo, the Texas transfer offensive lineman, who I just think has a world of talent. I just think he needs to gain a little weight. I've been talking to some people. He came in as a tad undersized, right around 270, I think he was. So we're gonna see how he ends up being. But I do think obviously he played at Texas last year, so he's gonna have a chance to play here. So interesting stuff, right? All right, so now we're to 40. Cam Torber is, as you all know, one of my very favorite freshmen on the team. Probably my favorite, right? The linebacker from Hoover High, who you put on the tape and you get blown away. It's just a freak sideline to sideline athlete. I think we really stole this kid out of Hoover High. Do yourself a favor, turn on some Cam Torber highlights. Thank me later. He is an absolute dog, who I think is going to make a big impact in our linebacker rotation and significantly upgrade it. Let's go to break really quick. We'll come right back in 6 seconds to finish the list on the way to number 1. Who's it going to be? We'll be right back. It's segment 3, and I've got a diet green tea here. Cures mouth dryness. Okay, so that was probably lame. All right. Where we leave off, Cam Torber at 40, I believe we were at 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40. Yeah. So we're in the top 40 now. I've got Ollie Straw at 39. Could probably have him even higher, to be honest. Punter is not a huge impact player, but Ollie Straw is literally one of the best 5 or 10 punters in the country, and could possibly be. I think he'll be first team All Big 12 and possibly an All American this year. I love the kid. Doesn't get talked about enough. We're very lucky to have him. I really love Ollie Straw, man. Kiki Tarnu at 39. I love Kiki Tarnu. I think he's going to make an impact this year. Obviously, it's safety and nickel. And he could make a big jump up this list. Devin Grant, the transfer from Incarnate Word from Colorado, is a freak show off the edge. Somebody that doesn't get talked about enough as a pass rushing problem. So we'll see exactly what he's going to look like. But he's a guy that can have double-digit sacks for us as well as Jamoy Robinson. Curtis Jones next. I think you look at Curtis Jones and start to think, man, this is a kid that's grown 4 inches. Did you guys know that? I just found this out. I didn't know he grew 4 inches over the summer. He did, or over this past year. Curtis Jones has grown 4 inches over since he came to West Virginia, or whatever it was, maybe 3 inches or 4 inches. I can't remember what it was. He's grown a lot, though. So they think he's going to be a good edge player. And this is after West Virginia recruited him. I think he was like 6 feet. So it's going to be interesting. Let's see. 30, let's see, where were we at? 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35. His Elijah Simmons, the defensive tackle transfer from junior college, who is just a man in the middle. If you don't know who Elijah Simmons is, go check his tape out. It's very good. He's a super quick, athletic defensive tackle that can pass rush, but he's also able to play right there on the nose and just clog that lane up. So he's somebody I'm really looking forward to seeing what he turns out to be. All right, we're at 34 with Asani Redwood, veteran. I think he's a very solid player. Certainly going to play a lot of snaps, and it's somebody I'm really looking forward to seeing. Maybe take a little bit more of a step up. 33, Grayson Barnes. Obviously, the tight end is going to be our best pass catching tight end, and somebody I'm really looking to make an impact as well. Obviously, all these guys are going to be looking to make an impact. But Barnes is going to open up the middle of the field. I think, he's got 4.7 speed. It's good enough. He's a good route runner. He's been productive in college. So hopefully he can continue that for sure because we need it, man. We need him to kind of turn into that Cole Taylor. And we would take Cole Taylor, especially his first year. Just my opinion, though. I mean, could he be a little worse, a little better? Sure, but I think he's going to be a little better. Let's just go ahead and speak that into existence. 32, Oron Singleton. I think he is so unique because he can kick, punt return, and he did it. He had kick and punt returns for touchdowns at Eastern Michigan, and he was their best receiver. So I think this kid's going to be something special. We'll probably throw bubble passes to him. He's an explosive athlete, got quickness. Scotty Fox is at number 31. I think Scott Fox is really come on strong this year, guys, already. I've heard so much about the kid. Really looking forward to seeing what he looks like in a Mountaineer uniform, and he's got a lot of talent. 30, Ty Edwards. I think Ty Edwards is a kid that if you told me he rushed for 1,200 yards this year, I would not blink an eye. I wouldn't. I would not blink an eye. I think he's that good. 6'2", 240-pound running back that can absolutely dump truck people, and why not? I think he's somebody that's got a ton of ability, and maybe by the end of this year, we're talking about him as our star for next year. I mean, really, could be him. Just like the next guy, Jalen Knighton at number 29. We're getting into the big guy, the big boys now. We're on the fringes, right, of the starters and all that. So Jalen Knighton is another, it's like flip a coin between these two. Either one of these guys could have 1,200 yards, and I wouldn't be shocked. So Jalen Knighton, more of a home run hitter. We saw his 40 time was at 4.5 the other day, plenty fast enough. I think he's come back from the knee enough to certainly make an impact. So, I'm definitely expecting big things from him, though. There's no doubt. Let's see. Losing track of numbers again here. Let's see. I'm gonna have to count up one more time here. 29, 20, 20. Yeah, number 18, Nick Cray. Nick Cray, the big left tackle who has got a ton of athletic ability. I just cannot wait to see what Nick Cray turns into because I think he could be one of the next great ones. I just need to see him do it. But I mean, he really stepped up last year and had one hell of a year. So give him his props, man. He's earned it. Rodney Gallagher at 18 is an interesting one. I think he has grown on me this offseason. He's put on a ton of muscle. I mean, a ton of muscle. He and Jaheim must be working out together because they both look so good. And I think that he's gonna shut me up because I definitely underestimated him to start the year. Let's see. Jaden Bray is next. I think Jaden Bray, he's going to media days. He's certainly got a ton of potential, and we heard he had a great spring. 6'2", caught a bunch of, I think he's got a chance to be our leading receiver. I just think you need to see it. He's got a lot of talent, though, no doubt about it. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. Which brings me to my guy, Logan Ramper. Guys, I think Logan Ramper is my pick. He's my sneaky pick in the receiving room to be our best receiver. Now, Cam Vaughn is obviously still on this list to go, and I'm going to pick him as the preseason number one wide receiver. But I mean, if you told me Logan Ramper was going to run a 4.40 the other day at 6'4", I would have said, "Holy cow, where do we get this kid from?" Logan Ramper runs a 4.40. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. You give him 50 pounds, and he's an elite tight end. We'll see. I like a lot about him. I think we really got a sleeper in him. He's like, if you told me to pick 5 sleepers on this team, he would be one of the first 2 or 3 names that I got to, for sure. I just think he's that good, and I hope he proves me right, man. I really do. All right, let's start naming some other guys off here. We're down to Logan Ramper. We got Eddie Kelly next on the list, guys. And why not Eddie Kelly? He's certainly one of those guys that started a bunch of games at Missouri, has a bunch of playing time under his belt. And I think is a guy that when you look at him, he's a big physical specimen, can set the edge. Not necessarily a pass rushing specialist, but other guys that can do that. But I think he's a guy that's going to be huge contributor on this year's team. We're coming up to some oars, by the way, which is, to be expected, I guess. But we'll get there when we get there. Let's see. I feel like I missed somebody. I guess I didn't. It feels like I did. All right, number 15, guys. This is the 15th best player on the list. I've got Sincere Bowers here. And you guys know, I think Sincere Bowers is the most underrated signing of the transfer portal offseason for almost any Big 12 team out there. And he proved me right. I've talked about him all offseason, and he's proved me right so far by running a 4.340. It's not everything. It's not the, end all be all. But man, are we off to a good start with Sincere Bowers. And I just can't wait to see RIchrod put the rock in his hands and see what he does with it. Because you guys know, Sincere Bowers is my guy. I'm going to die on the hill with him. If he doesn't do nothing, I'll come back here and say I swung and missed. But I don't think I did. Ben Cutter is a name that I think, maybe he's high on this list. Maybe I should have had him down a little lower. Like I said, it's not an exact list. But he has to be on the list, and he certainly has to be in the top 25 guys. He's going to be right there in the rotation with running at linebacker, right? And he's a good run-playing linebacker. I have questions about his coverage, but that's yet to be determined. I think we'll see exactly what that looks like. So looking forward to it, though. I think, he's a kid he had to play early as a freshman, man. It's not easy. Not easy at all. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Number 13, Jordan Walker, guys, out of Chattanooga. In love with this kid on the field, obviously. His tape is amazing. I think he's going to make a ton of plays for us this year in the back end. I have obviously high hopes for him, and his tape is so good. He's so athletic on there. I think he's going to play a ton of snaps, make a ton of plays. All right, we got to tie at number 12 with Braden Siders and Derek Carter. As you'll realize, Derek Carter, I think, will probably be one of our starting corners, if not in the rotation top two. He'll be one of our starting three guys anyway. I mean, I think he'll be in that rotation where he's going to play a bunch of snaps. And, I mean, I think he's got a chance to be pretty good. Jack State, he was good. Braden Siders is a guy that had a great spring. I'm told he really got back in the backfield a ton. Obviously, he's an edge player, and he really killed it at Wyoming. We haven't watched this tape in a while. I may get to him again in an upcoming episode because Siders a guy who can really get after it. All right, so we're at number 11, Justin Robinson. Obviously, the Oklahoma transfer is a kid that, if he puts it all together, could be an All-American. I think we all know that. We all love that about him. He could also be the biggest flop on the list because we don't know what his knee's going to do. And I wish I knew what his 40 time was, man. God, I wish I knew what that was. I would pay money. Big money to see that whole 40 list. I would pay money to see that damn list. If anybody's got more of it, hit me up. Besides what Jaheim White shared, I would love to know what the defensive players ran. Guys like Jamori Robinson, can you imagine knowing what his 40 time was? What if it's like 4.5 or 4.6? God, just what if Justin Robinson ran a 4.4? I mean, goodness gracious, because if that kid is back to what he was at Oklahoma, it's big time. It's big time for us. We need him. And part of this is me like, what's that they do? Like the laws of attraction, right? Like you speak it out there, you attract it kind of thing. Like I'm putting it out there, or like Christians will say, like, I'm speaking that to an existence right now. I'm speaking it to existence. Justin Robinson is going to be 2023 Justin Robinson. I just think he's going to be. Hammond Russell, obviously, I think is a kid that is very unsung. He was one of the first people that came out publicly and said, I'm going to be a West Virginia Mountaineer no matter what happens. And I applaud him for that. I think he's a guy that's going to make a big impact on the defensive line, and I'm looking forward to him for many years to come, being a good player, whether it's here or wherever he goes next. But certainly a good player. Well, we're in the top 10, obviously. We got Corey McIntyre at number 9, guys. That's how much I love Corey McIntyre. I think he's got a chance to be one of the best defensive tackles in the Big 12 as long as he stays healthy. He's never played a snap for us. But what have we heard? And I've asked the offensive lineman about him. Absolute nightmare to block. Unblockable when he's healthy. So I think, he was going to be our starting defensive lineman 2 years in a row and got hurt both years. He was going to be a true freshman starter for us and got hurt. So I've got him. I've got high hopes for him, man. I really do. Tykees Crawford is a kid that, he's a refrigerating unit as a human being that is an absolute monster that I think is going to start on the offensive line for us and possibly be really good there. I think he's going to crush it in this system where you just got to play football. Xavier Bosley is right there, but I've got to have Bosley at 8. I think Xavier Bosley's got a chance to. I still believe in Xavier. I'm not going to just because we quit contacting each other doesn't mean I'm going to lose faith in the kid. Like I said, heard some things, some rumors. I don't know if he was injured or what during the spring, but you don't go from being an All-American in this offense to not having a chance to play unless something drastic's happened. And so I'm just going to keep his name on my lips because I think he deserves to be there. Okay, we got one more or, actually two more ors. So for a tie, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're at number 6 here. I've got a tie between Walter Youngbear and Carson Lee. I think, obviously Carson Lee played 1,200 snaps at Eastern Michigan, and he's got a ton of experience, and he's a very good player. Obviously, he went to Colorado right out of high school, and I think he will certainly have a chance to win one of the guard spots, maybe. Walter Youngberry, pencil him in at the probably left guard. I think he's going to start for sure. His body of work also incredible. Over 1,000 snaps for Youngbear as well. That Tulane tape is very, very impressive, and I think either one of these guys could or both will start on the offensive line. But somebody that's had a better camp than both of them, which has shocked me. But this is I guess you want to call it a rumor or what, but I mean, so many people have said it. Kimo Makaniole was a defensive lineman, but let's not forget he was a 4-star player, then went to LSU out of high school. And for whatever reason, they moved him to defensive line. Well, we've heard he's absolutely crushed it in camp. I've heard it from O lineman after O lineman after O lineman have said that Kimo has crushed all the conditioning drills. He's done everything, like been out in front in every drill, every running drill they do. So the talent's there, I think, for him, right? So we're inside the top 5. Eddie Vestorinen, I think, deserves a spot in the top 5. It's not flashy. It's not. He's not going to make a ton of individual plays, but you can't convince me that he's not crucial to our defensive line. And I think he will be. I think he'll be a big mainstay there, which is one of the reasons why he's going to Frisco, Texas with RIchrod, because he's probably going to be a team captain. So Eddie V earned the right to be there, in my opinion. Is he the best player in the top 15? No, not individually. Maybe he could be, though. I don't know. I'm going to see what he got left in the tank because we didn't get to see it last year. Here's our last or inside the top 3. Nico Marchiol or Jalen Henderson. Who's it going to be? I think, they're so close in so many different ways. I just couldn't pick one over the other yet. I need more information. I need the summer. I need to hear things from coaches and players, and I'll find out. I'll find out who's doing what before the first game kicks off. Who's winning that battle. It's going to be fun to find out as we go along. Number 2, Landon Livingston, our starting center. I'll tell you this. I wasn't sure what we were going to get out of him, but this ranking right now is based off of, I think Livingston being invited to Frisco, Texas says a lot. Sure, he was here last year and all the guys were that went, but I think Livingston has the most pressure because he's the incumbent to Zach Frazier, number 1. What crazy shoes to fill. But number 2, like, he's had to fight off all comers, and I think he has up until now. And I've heard great things about him. And I think he's earned the spot. I think he's earned a spot here inside the top 5. I sure do. I would be lying if I didn't say I think he's going to be such a good player for us. So looking forward to him as well, obviously. All right. I clicked off of it by accident there. Where am I at here? Let's see. Okay. All right. Back to the list here. All right. Where are we at? All right. So here are the rest of the guys. We've still got, I guess I unfortunately lost. I missed the number. I missed the number somewhere. That wasn't 3. That was number 13. Sorry, guys. I apologize. We've still got a couple more guys left. which is a good thing. He was at number he is at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Uh, he's at number 10. Sorry. I I don't know why the numbers. So I put it into I typed all the players out, 1 through 70, and then I said, okay, no, I put it in the AI thing. I said, number this and just in the same order that I have it so that I'll have it ready to go, and it put bullet points beside each name. So like it's just screwed me up really bad trying to read all these. But anyways, I was starting to think like I was thinking I don't remember having Livingston that high. But anyway, yeah, he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's at 10. Okay, that makes sense. Jordan Scruggs is at number 9. I'm sorry for the mix up. Jordan Scruggs is at number 9. I'm expecting big things out of him, obviously. Darren Lewis is, I think, going to make a huge impact at safety. As a matter of fact, I have him as one of our best players in defense. I think he's just going to have a big year back there. And I believe there's a reason he came to West Virginia. People I've spoken to say that he's got a big chip on his shoulder. We obviously know my guy at the BIP list rated him a big time 5-star transfer. I've said multiple times I'm not going that high on him, but I do think he's going to be a big time transfer. Ben Bogle at number, let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7. Ben Bogle's at number 7. You guys know how I feel about Ben Bogle. He was one of my first guys that I really went hardcore on. I think, when they first transferred in, it's him, Sincere Bowers, those guys I've all pegged as far as, guys I really love. So you're definitely looking forward to what he has to offer. So can't wait to see. Fred Perry, man. How could you not have a list without Fred Perry this high up, right? I mean, his name has been on everybody's lips all spring long. So it's no surprise that Fred Perry is as high up as he is. I think he'll make a bunch of plays, have a bunch of tackles, and just be an enforcer in the back end for us. Now we're inside with the top 5. This is the top 5 here, guys. Our top 5 people, top 5 players for the 2025 season for West Virginia. At number 5, I've got Chase Wilson. I think he's going to be the quarterback of our defense. I think he's a super athlete. As long as he stays healthy, I think he'll have a big year. 100-plus tackles, no doubt. Number 4, Michael Coach Jr., lockdown corner. Possibly he could be one of the best corners in the Big 12. Anybody that says that, that knows anything about the team says that. Even Mike Golick Jr., of all people, said something about him. So Michael Coach Jr. is a kid that obviously we're expecting a ton from. We paid him a ton of money, and let's work. Cam Bond's at number 3. You got to put him there, man, with the production he has. Best receiver on Jack State's team. Then he runs the 4.4 the other day. I mean, he's doing that all right. We keep hearing about him. So we're going to keep him there. Jaheim White is at number 2. What do you say about the best running back in the Big 12? I think he's got a chance to be that. Certainly, definitely one of the top 3. He is, without a doubt, one of the fastest risers on the team this year. With that, I mean, he's had to have gained 10 pounds in muscle at least. I mean, he is rocked up, dude. And to run a 4.440 the other day was absolutely shocking. Just not even a couple months ago, he had surgery. So what an incredible, incredible offseason he's had. And then Jamori Robinson's at number 1. I really think he's an NFL player. I think that there's no doubt he's an NFL player. And I think he is going to be absolutely going to be a terror for us. So that's the list, guys. I know it was a little herky jerky. Sorry about that, but it's hard to read. I'll let you guys see what it looks like because it was hard for me to kind of read it, to be honest. Okay, so this is how it looked. So all I did was Well, actually, there's my list right there. I sent it to myself, Locked On West Virginia. I sent it to myself, and then I was like, then I told it to. Actually, I think the prompt is in there. Yeah, this is where I asked it. How many days till Robert Morris? Oh shoot, that's so silly. Yeah, but it says there's a numbered list. Here it is. Number these out for me, 1 through 70. Use the number beside each name. Also, please include the position, etc. That's exactly what I told it to do. And then it popped it out like this. So AI is not perfect, I guess, but whatever. This is what I got. So I kept losing track, guys. I'm sorry. The list just kept going and going. It was a lot of players to get through. Maybe I should have done it in two separate shows, but here we are. It was, it's a Paul After Dark. You get what you get. Thanks for being here, guys. It's fun. I'll be back tomorrow. I appreciate you guys. He's definitely a top 69. That's right. That's right. Jersey Ear, my guy. Gosh, man. I guess that's about it. What a big day in basketball. Go back if you didn't see my video earlier on basketball. We not only do we have the new Amir Jenkins on the list, but obviously we have Mr. Derek Butler from Bowling Green. You need to check him out. What an incredible player he would be if we added him, and we'd be setting the backcourt if we got him. We'll see what happens there. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, guys, and for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team every single day. You got to check out the portal over there on YouTube. Brian is doing one hell of a job promoting his content. He was number one in the entire company this past month. So, I mean, that's big time. It's hard to beat Drake Toll over at Locked On Big 12, who gets sometimes 50, 60,000 views a video. So that guy's crushing it right now. I was in the top 10. So, hey, we're doing all right here at Locked On West Virginia too. We got to get our audio numbers up though a little bit, but it's still new audio. It's not even 6 months old. So, well, I think it is. It's just 6 months old. So, all right, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you like this video. Let me know what you think about the list down below. And RIchrod or Darian Devries, what did you think about that as well? It seems like that was a year ago we talked about that. And I'll talk to you then, guys. See you tomorrow. I'm out of here.